Hello, my name is Carl Danneberger, and the title of this presentation is The History of Golf Course Management. Integral to the enjoyment of playing golf is how well the course is maintained. In survey after survey, the condition of the course is rated higher than the design. Golfers would rather play a well-maintained golf course on an average or below average course design than a well-designed golf course maintained poorly. The evolution of golf course maintenance is a fascinating story, from where we began to where we are now. Yet some of the principles remain the same: mowing or cutting grass, changing cups, watering, and pest control. But how we do it is a technology marvel. As we have previously mentioned, early golf in Scotland was played across the linksland. There were no greens or tees as we would think of. The hole was cut with a knife, and the sand from the hole would be used for teeing up the golf ball for the next hole, normally a pace or two away from the hole. The beginning of golf course maintenance at St. Andrews is an interesting story. Golf was free to any golfer at St. Andrews until 1913, when the first greens fees were levied against visitors, who were probably not citizens of the town of St. Andrews. However, in 1754, the members of the Society of St. Andrews Golfers, as we know as the Royal and Ancient Club, offered to pay for the maintenance of the course in exchange for privileges that we would call now tee times. This agreement probably is the beginning of golf course maintenance. Not to say the profession of what's known as greenskeeping was very advanced. In written records from the Aberdeen golf links, mention is made of agreeing to pay Alexander Monroe £4 or around $5 a year for, quote, taking charge of the links and providing accommodations for the members' boxes. He was also to keep the holes in good order. 2 years later, his pay was reduced to £3. Must not have been doing too good of a job. To give you an idea of the turf condition around 1850, this photo is of 3 gentlemen with caddies who are putting on a putting green that would today probably be considered golf course rough. I will say the caddies were well dressed. Old Tom Morris, who became greenkeeper of St. Andrews in 1865, along with being the professional, stayed in that position until 1904. Old Tom had 2 rules for maintenance program: top dress with a lot of sand to the greens, tees, and fairways. He thought it maintained the character of the grass. And Sunday was a day of rest from play, which still holds true today. No golf on Sunday except when St. Andrews hosts the Open. Prior to the 20th century, the tools used by a greenkeeper might include sheep, primarily, or cattle for mowing, although the use of a hand scythe was still common. Other management practices consisted of using unprocessed manure for fertilization, Bordeaux mixture for disease control, nicotine solutions for insect control, and a knife to remove weeds. Bordeaux mixture is a combination of copper sulfate and lime that was developed originally to control vine diseases in French vineyards. Maintenance crews were normally well equipped and enjoyed good working conditions. This photo is a maintenance crew showing the variety of equipment that was used to maintain the golf course. Notice the cup cutter, brooms for top dressing material into the green, pitchfork for aerification. Note too, the mower is prominently displayed in the center of the picture. The first mowing units used on links courses were probably rabbits, but sheep were used more inland and on many golf courses. Actually, in some areas, sheep are still used. Sheep have the advantage of grazing or mowing and fertilizing at the same time. In 1830, Edward Budding, who is shown here, invented and patented the first mechanical push mower. Later inventors were to add steam and horsepower to propel the mowers. As mentioned, the first mowers were reel mowers that were pushed. Mechanized mowers were to evolve later. This picture shows some of the early mowers. The mower on the left has a 6-inch reel cut that was primarily used to mow around tombstones or mark out the lines of the tennis courts. The mower, that 6-inch, is dated 1870. Notice how short the handles are, reflecting the relative shortness of the people of the time. From the picture you can see the widths of the cutting units varied greatly. Once the cutting units got greater than 20 inches or so in width, or in the case of this unit 24 inches, they were very difficult to push, so they were often pulled by a horse. It did not take long to figure out if you attached multiple mowers, in this case 3 units, you could mow a larger area like a fairway. These types of units are known as gang units, and in this case this is a 3-gang unit. In many instances, the cutting quality of the early mowers was not as good as a skilled man with a scythe. The greens could be cut more closely, and the contours of the greens could be followed more closely by cutting with a scythe. This picture was taken in 1920 at St. Andrews, showing these gentlemen cutting greens with these scythes. In 1902, Ransom's produced the first commercially available mower powered by an internal combustion gasoline engine. In the United States, gasoline-powered lawnmowers were first manufactured in 1919 by Colonel Edwin George. This is an example of an English mower. I do not know who produced it, but some of these early powered mowers were pretty amazing to look at. I am not sure a mower like this would have mowed greens, and with all the chains and pulleys, must have been a challenge to keep running. This mower is a little more streamlined. An English colleague of mine actually used this mower to mow greens at Royal Lytham and St. Anne's in the late 1950s and early 1960s. In the 1950s and 1960s, the technological advances in turf equipment and mowers accelerated and improved power and cutting units. Many fairways were mowed with tractors and gang mowers. Today, new, more self-contained units are common. Walk-behind greens mowers were effective but relatively crude in the 1960s, in contrast to the newer units of today, and they are also much safer. These are examples of riding greens mowers from the 1960s. Now the units of today employ better cutting units, may in this case be a hybrid, and in the future be electric, resulting in more environmentally friendly mowers. Although we have mainly talked about mowers, the advancements in mowing are mimicked in other areas of maintenance, providing playing surfaces that those 3 golfers with the well-dressed caddies could never imagine.